Mike, great to have you, man.
That's great being here, John.
Now let's go to some of these races. I know you're pretty involved. I want to go to your old district, Laura Overby. Overy, I'm sorry, is going to be challenging incumbent Democrat Monty Mason. Doesn't look like she's going to get any Republican primary challenges. Haven't heard anything. So I know she had a kickoff campaign last night. That's a tough district. I mean, you work so hard, got beat by Mason. Can she win?
Yeah, she can win this. And Laura's really an ideal candidate for. She's an ideal candidate for this district. As you and I have talked many times, the district's pretty unique. It's got 4 localities in it. Geographically, they're right there with each other. Politically, they're all over the place. And Laura comes with a background, born and raised in Newport News. Her family's been there and in York County. She's lives in Williamsburg herself now, graduate of William & Mary, in addition to Thomas Nelson, and she makes her living helping promote the community college system, and you know me, and that's been one of the things that I've really worked on for years. And what's unique about Laura with workforce development is she's been working on both the entry in with the students and the schools, and on the exit in with businesses and employers, and that's really important for this district. And she's had her focus there. She's done an awful lot with other education efforts in the community. In addition, she's president of the local symphony, the Williamsburg Symphony, and so she's pretty well rounded. And some of the areas where I had some struggles, with the campus there at William & Mary, they didn't know me. Obviously, my opponent was a graduate of the college there, so he got a big following. Will Laura is too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think she's got a real good chance of winning, and I frankly think she'd be a very good delegate for the region.
Well, Mason's going to pull out all the stops. He's going to spend a lot of money. The one advantage the Democrats have in this cycle, as you know, Mike, is Terry McAuliffe is going to be raising just truckloads of cash, and so that's not going to be the issue. So in order to beat any of these Democratic incumbents, you're going to have to do it without spending as much money.
Yep, and that's the truth. And any time you get a challenger step up, I had the same challenges when I ran the first time, and you've got to get out there and see the folks.
That was against Robin Abbott.
That
right?
was, yes.
Now, were you outspent by Abbott?
Early, yes. But as the campaign picked up momentum, we were able to obviously get some more folks behind us. You've got to get past the primary season before you can expect any help from the caucus, and even then, it's going to be late in the game. If you're polling well, they'll step in. So it's not like you're out there without any money. It's just it takes a little longer to go, and you really have to prove yourself early in these campaigns. And she's doing it. She had a kickoff last night. I dropped in. And that room was packed. There was, I would say, pushing 150 people there.
Okay, so looks like she's got a shot. Although she is a first-time candidate, I still rate her as an underdog, though, in that race.
Understandably, and it's early. You know what? At this point in the game, every challenger is an underdog.
Is an underdog. Yeah, just about. I've got her at. I've got Mason right now at -5, so I get her down by 5, but. There's a long way to go. Let's go to, and that's, by the way, that's District 93. Let's go to David Yancey's race.
Mm-hmm.
Yancey almost got upset, as you know, last time by a very weak candidate, kind of a cardboard cutout. He didn't campaign much. Yancey just hanging on. I think he's got a wake-up call without a doubt. But now a little bit of a stronger challenger in the young lady from Newport News, member of the school board there. Ralph Northam just had a fundraiser for her. What do you think?
Well, you've got to take every challenger seriously, and yeah, he had a lot closer race than I expected he would last time. But David's just been he's been that train that just keeps trucking along, and he's working on things for the area. He still gets out. You see an event, or you follow him on Facebook, you'll see he is constantly out and about. He's not made a mistake of going back into the woodwork. He's staying out in front of folks and is doing a good job at the General Assembly. This is undoubtedly, as you mentioned earlier, with the governor, is going to bring a lot of money. He will put money into this race as well. They'll see this as one of the ones in play. But David has, I feel real good about him. I don't know where you rank him, but I've ranked him in the win column on this one.
I got him up by 7.
Okay, that's probably pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I got him up. I got him up by a touchdown. Even though his victory last time was by the smallest of margins, there was a lot of things he had to overcome. He had to overcome a weak gubernatorial candidate on the top of the ticket. He had to overcome E.W. Jackson getting blown out by 10. He doesn't have to deal with any of that now, and he's also outraised everybody.
Yeah, if you looked at his numbers at VPAP,
outraised everybody.
Oh, he's spending some time on the phones, and something else too that he and I both ran into last time in Newport News is Gabe Morgan was up for sheriff, and he had a couple of challengers, and that really pulled out the Democrat
Big
vote.
Time. That's not going to happen now.
Yeah, that won't happen this time, and that was had a huge impact on me and some of the precincts, and undoubtedly did on him as well.
Right. So I think I've got David up by 7 in that. Okay, let's go to Roanoke, where Chris Head, pretty safe incumbent Republican district, getting District 17, getting a challenge now from Harry Grigo. Chris Head is pretty conservative. What's up?
Well, Chris is conservative, and he's also very acute and attuned to business issues across the state. He is the chair of our Business Development Caucus we've talked about so many times on here, and he has really put his focus on helping to develop the economy, improve the economy in the Roanoke region, but also across the state. He's been a statewide leader. So, you're going to have challengers every now and then. I have not talked to Chris about this, about the challenge since it's the gentleman here has filed. But I'd give Chris he's pretty well respected in his area, and frankly by his colleagues in the General Assembly. And I think he'll get help. And Chris is a hard worker, and I think he'll hang on to this seat both through the primary and the general.
I got him up by 25.
Yeah,
I don't see this as too. Mike, got to go to District 16. Rosalind Dance, incumbent Democrat senator, votes occasionally with the Republicans. I have her on my show often, independent-minded thinker. Sometimes she gets Saslaw mad because she'll back the Republicans on certain things, being challenged first by former Delegate Joe Preston. That made sense, challenged from the left. I thought that would be a tough battle for her. But now independent Delegate Joe Morrissey gets in the race. The whole thing gets turned upside down. We've got Joe on with us in about 20 minutes. I think he's got a shot. I think he's going to win. What say you?
I don't know. I've watched this. Of course, you read the papers and you see this and you scratch your head and go, what? But, I get it. There's one thing, you can like him, you can not like him, whatever, but he doesn't show any limits when it comes to what he thinks he can do and what he can pull off. And you know what? He possibly could. I got to tell you, Ros Dance, former delegate and now senator, there's a lot of folks on both sides that you just can't work with because they're so strong-headed. They're going to be so partisan. Roz is not one of those people. She actually, she votes Democrat. She's I don't say we vote together often, or we did when I was in the House. But she is one of the ones that would listen to you, and you could have a communication and a dialogue and get support for things that, frankly, if she thought it would help her community, but at least she would listen to you. There are folks in there that won't listen to you, period, if you're in the wrong party. And she's not like that. And frankly, if you believe what you read in the papers, that's one of the reasons that Delegate Morrissey was promoting a challenger against her for the House of Delegates in the last election cycle.
So, make a prediction. What do you think?
The third party
no
thing.
Right?
Yeah, the third party thing, by having Joe Preston in there, rather not the third party, but now I guess this means Joe's going to go back to being a Democrat. Is that right?
I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to keep up with these things.
I guess that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Anytime you throw a third person there, it always, it mixes it up. It makes it hard to call. You don't know where, who that third person pulls the votes from. So Joe certainly has his following. I scratch my head sometimes, but he does. And Rosalind Dance does too. I don't know Preston at all, so for me it's just a crapshoot. I don't know where it would fall out right now, but it'll be interesting to watch, and I'm sure it'll be one of the ones talked about across the state, probably more than most.
If Morrissey doesn't win the primary, and of course I'll ask him this question, but I already know what the answer will be. But if he doesn't win the nomination, he can still turn around and run as an independent. So.
And you know what? You could come up here and take about any scenario you want to throw out there, and it's a possibility with Joe Morrissey.
I know everybody. I get a lot of people criticizing me. Why I give Joe time, why I like Joe. Look, I like Joe because he stands for stuff. I don't agree with him politically, but he is who he is. And by the way, he's he doesn't let the normal forces stop him. And so I respect that. And he certainly has a right to run for office.
He does, and he is. His mind is set on doing something. He's gonna see it through the best that he can anyway, as much as he's got control over it. And right now, it appears that he does. So it'll be interesting to watch. Again, you see me sitting here shaking my head because it's with all the bad press that the General Assembly has gotten. Frankly, in my opinion, undue because. When you take and just a few people over the years that have had any issues at all, and all of a sudden you paint the entire General Assembly as a bunch of crooks, it's just not right. And I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats both. I'll serve with great people on both sides of the aisle that really do care about making Virginia better and stronger. We may have different ideas of how to get there. And at the same time, there are some radical partisans on both sides. But the General Assembly, Virginia's General Assembly, really is a decent place, and full of decent people that I can tell you firsthand sacrifice an awful lot to serve. So when you see something that's just constantly negative in the press, you just kind of wish it would go away. And this is something that just keeps coming up.
So keeps coming up.
I don't know. It's just you're almost afraid to open up the paper and
you never
and
know
see what's going to happen,
right?
Yeah.
We'll have to see how it plays out. I think Morrissey will be certainly competitive in that race. Mike Watson, I want to get to your potential op-ed that you've put out there. One of the things that you're talking about is the number of manufacturers in Southeast Virginia, but across the state, that have come to you that are saying we don't have we can't find employees to fill the need we have, and that's kind of shocking when you look at unemployment and other stuff.
Well, and that's what's been so interesting. I was involved in this long before I even thought about running for office. I've been working with the community college system in Virginia and in North Carolina, trying in the high schools. I think it was just over a decade. I was in Jamestown high schools talking to students there about opportunities in the trades and crafts and out there. And part of that was because my own company, I've got a small technology company. It was in a growth phase, and it was each year was tougher and tougher to get qualified applicants in for these jobs, and my customers who are manufacturers run into the same thing. So I kind of went on a mission way back then to try to get more students aware of the opportunities. Obviously, that was something I worked heavily on in the General Assembly, and now on the Education Committee that I'm serving on as an advisory committee for the House Education Committee. We're tasked with dealing with tuition and the high cost of tuition and student debt. Well, there's a lot of things we can do within the higher ed system to cut tuition, I believe, and we'll work on that. But the things the students can do themselves to knock that debt out is take a measure, go and figure out where the jobs are, and get the training, whether it be at a community college, a 4-year, wherever it is, to pursue that job. We've got too many students going into schools, getting degrees, come out, and they can't find a job in that field. Since I've been out of the General Assembly, obviously I've been able to spend a little more time with my business, so much needed time. But I'm going out and seeing my customers, manufacturers, throughout frankly, I've been all over the Southeast now. And in this op-ed I wrote, just since the first of this year, just a handful of manufacturers, and I'm not talking about just a few, and service companies, and I've counted over 40 jobs that these folks are trying to fill. They're looking for instrument technicians, electricians, electronics people, welders, and they can't find them. And these are good paying jobs. Of all the ones I look, because I've been asking, I'm working with this and with Richmond, what are you paying and what efforts you're going out there to try to fill these gaps. The lowest paid starting position, the lowest of all 40 of these positions, is $42,000 a year. That's the lowest. The median salary for these folks, once they've got a couple years' experience, is between $55,000 and $75,000 a year. New River Community College, and that's one of the great 23 community colleges we got here in the state. They last year got every one of their instrumentation technician students that were looking for work got work, and 6 of them, the last 6 that I'm aware of, got hired by a Virginia manufacturer for about $65,000 a year right out of community college.
Wow.
So there's opportunities out there. And these manufacturers tell me, I can't find them. They're having to get contractors from all over the country to come in here paying double what they would have to pay a normal employee. Of course, it's a contract. They'll use them and get them out of here as quick as they can, but they're not filling the gap. We've got an aging workforce, and this is something we hear again and again. It's just not getting any better. As we hope the economy's improving. So these companies, you would think they, even without attrition, would need to beef up their staffs. But you throw attrition in there, and all of a sudden you've got a real vacuum. And so that's one of the things I'm working on. Is the op-ed that I submitted to Daily Press on Friday, and it was just a reminder that our work, not only is it not done, it doesn't even look like we've scratched the surface yet.
Right, you guys haven't even started, no question, to have them. You look great, though. By the way, Mike.
A little less stress these days.
You look very relaxed.
I get to focus on business. I'm going to be working with some campaigns this year. This is what I was doing before I ran for office. And so I'm staying plenty busy. The Business Development Caucus will probably be a little bit slower this year just because it's election year. But I'm doing well.
All right, good to have you. You're going to stay for another segment. Joe Morrissey, 8:35 when I get back. We're also going to be talking about there's a state Senate challenge to